great patience, Miss Lane.
In other words, why do I put up with him? 1, he supports my career. 2, the sex is phenomenal.
Well, duh. He's a redhead, of course it is. I am Brandon Scott Jensen. I am a year-old, Gnostic, bisexual, polyamorous, bear cub, working on becoming a muscle cub, comic book artist and script supervisor, and I am obstreperous as f***. This is me ranting about one, or more, of my more than 3,000 DVDs and BluRays. My thoughts, a look at some of the extra stuff you may have skipped, and sometimes exclusive behind-the-scenes stuff, because I work in film, I know people, and I want a reason for the show. So stay tuned. As these are movies that I own, it may be mostly a big love fest. Mostly. I'd love to hear your thoughts about which of these thousands of films I should rant about. But if I don't own it, it's probably not happening. That said, let's do this. I own every single DC animated movie universe film. Or DCAMU, as some channels call it. I've watched all of them. Every time one was played in the theaters, I was there. I was there! And most of them I absolutely love. There are a few clunkers in the series, and I tend to agree with the masses about which are the best and which are the worst. I know I talk about favorites a lot, but Superman Red Son it's not one of my favorites. That's not to say it's a bad film, it's got a lot going for it, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Although we open on a field of wheat, we are not in the familiar spaceship crash landing in Kansas so we can retell the Superman origin story for the 5 trillionth time. In fact, we are immediately told that we are in the Soviet Union in 1946. Sonichka, maybe I should, take some online class on language pronunciation so I don't offend every non-English speaking human on Earth? Or just Google it. He's a young boy running from bullies, but soon reveals to his friend Svetlana, who is totally not a Russian counterpoint to Lana Lang, that he has powers that we, the audience, know are Superman's powers. Then we get opening titles, which is unusual for these DCAMU films. Usually they put these really cool title sequences at the end. So I like that. 9 years later, we see Russian propaganda of the Russian Superman, followed by a loving couple who are revealed to be Lex Luthor and Lois Lane, who are married. Superman humbly stands by Premier Joseph Stalin on the opening of a dam. But when a Russian satellite falls, threatening an American city, Metropolis, of course, Superman races to stop it. He succeeds, of course, and is confronted by Lois Lane Luthor, requesting an interview. Superman doesn't trust the press, saying that the press is the enemy of the people. Sound familiar? And refuses. But for reasons unclear, he confronts Lois on the roof of the Daily Planet. She gives him classified information on the gulags in the USSR, and he races off to find them. There he finds a young boy whose parents have recently died. Of starvation, I guess? The boy is so painfully, obviously, going to grow up to be Batman. But they really drive the point home by the sudden appearance of bats all around him. He also finds his friend Svetlana dying, but she at least gets to see the sun again before delivering one last message to him about hope and strength that he represents to her and to all of the people. I didn't cry when she died, and I know the director wanted me to. But I respected that they didn't really let her finish her directive to her friend. Superman confronts Stalin, and in an act that proves this is not the Superman we all know and love, there's a few minor spoilers throughout, but this is big, so you can skip to this time code to skip the spoilers. I'm gonna give you a second, unlike some channels who just say spoilers and then jump right into it. Okay, I think you've had enough time. He straight up murders Stalin with his heat vision. Just like... God, is this another spoiler? Well, You already skipped ahead, but this is the spoiler for The Boys on Amazon Prime. First season. So, yeah, same time code, skip, okay? When Homelander kills Stillwell in the season finale of The Boys, I mean, I have to admit that I didn't see either coming. And I hadn't even read the book yet. Hi, spoiler skippers. Welcome to the time code. He goes from being the symbol of the country to its leader, who seeks to save the entire world, but on his terms. He takes control of several countries. Liberates them. Losing only a few thousand lives, and after Lex forgets his anniversary with Lois, we learn why she puts up with him.
The sex is phenomenal.
Lex then creates a superior man, who becomes the symbol of perceived American ideals. Then, and now, later, Superman meets Diana, who lives on an island of all women. Normal for her, and therefore, is a lesbian. In the comics, she's canonically bisexual. Hashtag bi erasure. Whatever, though. I like the introduction of something outside of heterosexuality for an extremely powerful and important character in the DC universe. Yes, Midnighter and Apollo exist. Yes, the Ray exists.
That's a review for another time.
Solid representation. I've seen some blowback on this, and it's clearly homophobia. People want her to pine over Superman like she did in the comic book, apparently. Diana being gay gives her a personality dimension, especially because it's mentioned, it's clearly part of her, but it does not define her. Whereas her heterosexuality in the book was her sole defining feature. Superior Man is then off to fight Superman, and is revealed to actually be this film's Bizarro. And both this and the comic seems to have taken his creation from Superman the Animated Series. So it does feel like something we've seen before, but it's mercifully short, at least.
Also, when he said, "me feel strange," I fully expected him to say, "me feel bizarre."
Luthor, we learned, created Superior Man just to see fear in Superman's eyes. But this troubles Lois, and Les actually expresses regret. Several years later, Superman tears down the Berlin Wall just as it's completed, and Brainiac is seen shrinking Stalingrad and bottling it. Superman then defeats him and reprograms him to be his manservant. But he seems unable to unshrink the city, just like Superman's counterpart, Kandor. Years later, Russian Batman is revealed to be a terrorist, blowing up building after building that honors Superman, and killing hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the process. Again, this is not the Batman we know and love. Superman finds his followers, who are reprogrammed using Brainiac's technology, along with any other citizen who shows dissent. Then Luthor, President Kennedy, and Hal Jordan go to Area 51. They don't say it's Area 51, but it's definitely Area 51. And find Abin Sur, who crashed in Roswell, and his ring. They discuss starting a new kind of corps that Jordan is to lead. Diana confronts Superman and Brainiac, as America is the final holdout for complete Russian control. I mean, I guess Themyscira doesn't really count, but it does, because her mother, the Queen, wants to close down the Themysciran embassy, but Diana is not giving up on Superman yet. This proves to be somewhat futile, as Batman kidnaps Diana and holds her hostage with her lasso of truth. Batman finally gets to confront Superman, and using lamps to replicate his red sun. So the two are on equal footing. But Diana being under orders with her lasso to kill herself if Superman harms Batman, he beats the hell out of Superman. Wonder Woman breaks her bonds, but ages in the process, only able to save her friend Superman and kill the power to the sun lamps. Batman would rather die than live under Superman's control. No more spoilers. Now it's 1983. Superman continues his rule, not having aged a single day. This is never explained. He grew from childhood to adulthood at a normal human rate, but then just stops?
It could be Brainiac's tech, but it's not explained or even addressed.
Luthor is now president, and he brings his final force, the Green Lantern Corps, to Superman. Wonder Woman, again, saves his ass. I do like what this scene tries to be, but with Diana just taking her ball and going home, it seems like an unfinished character arc for her. The lantern rings aren't as powerful here as they are in some continuities. Maybe because they're copies of the original ring? So Superman easily wipes them all out, and he and Brainiac head to the White House to take the fight to Luthor. But there are no Secret Service agents, no army, just Lois Lane, who somehow has the bottled city of Stalingrad, where she points out that the bottled city is everything Superman wanted. Superman is shocked by this, the truth. He decides to go home, saying that humanity's fate has to be in their own hands. But Brainiac reveals that he was never actually reprogrammed. Brainiac just wants to possess the entire world rather than one single city. President Luthor saves Lois, then works with Superman to destroy Brainiac. Superman remembers the words of Svetlana in a scene reminiscent of the Iron Giant, which serendipitously used the Iron Giant believing that he was Superman. Once Superman is believed dead, Lex resigns the presidency, allowing President Jimmy Olsen, to assume the presidency of the world? Apparently, America is going to lead the world now. At the ceremony, Lois believes she sees a familiar face in the crowd, a bespectacled Clark Kent. The end. Superman Red Sun is based on an Elseworlds miniseries. For those of you not privy to what Elseworlds is, it's something that DC does, or rather used to. Sort of what-if stories. What if Batman battled Jack the Ripper? What if the Justice League existed in the 1940s? Oh, wait, they did. What if Superman had cancer? What if Bruce Timm had complete free reign to do whatever the hell he wanted? In this case, what if baby Kal-El had landed in the Ukraine instead of Kansas? It's a great premise, though, to be honest, I didn't read the comic book until after I watched the movie. And honestly, I'm not really sure that either medium fully captured the potential. And they are pretty different takes on the same concept. The movie being based on the book, you'd think it might be virtually identical. Some of the DC movie adaptations, like Batman Year One, The Killing Joke, after what honest trailers called Batgirl Sex and the Gotham City, pay so much respect to the source material that they could really be considered fuller motion comics. They're such carbon copies of the original, minus some of the character designs, which tend to be more cartoony, given the strengths and weaknesses of each medium. Not the case here. Themes and scenes are taken from the comic, but they're tied together in a, well, it's a better plot than the book, but I feel like they could have gone through another rewrite or two before going to animation. The comic has some big weaknesses, especially the way it handles female characters. Svetlana, Lois Lane, hell, even Wonder Woman are little more than pining weaklings, although, to be fair, the lack of character development is the same with Superman himself, who is little more than a soulless dictator with an equally evil bad guy in Lex Luthor trying to stop him. The art is strong, the colors particularly so. The writing has its strengths, especially in dialogue, but the character and plot take a backseat to spectacle. If this were made in live action, Michael Bay would be best suited for a faithful adaptation. The film is superior in several ways. It builds up all of the characters and gives them pathos and a character arc, especially the women. None of these characters are pining for Superman. None are even sexually available to him, much less interested. Svetlana, who in the book was called Lana Lazarenko,
Talk about a waste of an opportunity for the book.
sees him more like a younger brother. Diana as a respected colleague who is the wrong gender for her. And as for Lois, an adversary. Either way, none of these women are interested in Superman romantically, whereas in the comic book, it was all of their soul-defining characteristics. I guess I gotta do this again. The character design strongly resembles Bruce Timm's work from Batman the Animated Series. and Superman the Animated Series, which is always a joy to watch. The voice cast and performances are top-notch, a lot better overall than some others, including several that are voice directed by voice directing legend, because you're goddamn right that's a thing, Andrea Romano. I really feel these characters. Diedrich Bader, for example. He's been Batman and several other characters in many of the more comedy-driven DC projects. When I saw he was in the cast for this, I honestly was kind of worried, and I didn't know who he played until the end credits. He had me so absorbed into his character. So, hats off to you, Mr. Bader. Also, the decision to take Lex from the mustache-twirling villain that we all know and hate from the comics to make him almost the hero of this story while still also somehow the antagonist was a bold move. This is not to undersell the other leads. Jason Isaacs gives a powerful performance as Superman, although, to be perfectly honest, I'm bad at deciphering accents. I know, shocking since I'm so good at saying non-English words. So I don't know how good or bad his Russian accent is. It sounds good to me. But his acting is amazing. Amy Acker perfectly brings young, middle-aged, and elderly Lois to life. Justice Leaguers Phil Morris and Vanessa Marshall once again voice Jon Stewart and Wonder Woman, respectively. They seem to push themselves even more so than before. And Paul Williams as Brainiac? For some reason, I thought he had passed away. Is just so calculating as Brainiac. The music score was serviceable. I wasn't blown away. But again, having seen the movie first, I just felt something was missing. It was episodic, which I blamed on being an adaptation of a 3-part comic book, but that wasn't it. It didn't need to be episodic, given how many liberties they took. But now I know. The issue was with the removal of a single character from the book. Peter Roslov he's not the heart of the book, but he is the soul. He's the stand-in for Peter Ross, who, in Superman books, is often the heart and or soul of a story. In the book, he kills young Batman's parents. Clearly not a good dude. And later teams up with Batman to take down Superman. He understands how out of control Superman has become because he's known him for years. They were as close as brothers in their youth, so he's seen the fall, and he knows he has to try to stop him. The movie was missing something big to make it an actually great film. And after reading the book, I believe this was it. It seems that Superman's arc, like Diana's, was incomplete. And unlike the book, which oddly didn't have a clear protagonist, Superman was definitely the protagonist here. And again, had this gotten a couple more rewrites before going into full animation, it really could have been a great movie, but as it is, it's just kind of blah. Also, the ending is a bit too America, fuck yeah, for my taste.
I like living in America, usually, but the idea that Superman bad and Lex the ultimate patriot good being the ultimate message was a bit cringe for me.
Gotham by Gaslight was another film that did a fresh take on an Elseworld story. And they added characters. And that one turned out a lot better, with a solid story, but that's a rant for another time. I want to, as always, thank you for watching. Many thanks to my first Patreon supporter, Craig A. Butler. I'm asking if you too would consider donating to my Patreon to help keep this show going. It starts at just $1 a month. Also, please leave a comment below. I love to talk to people in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, and please hit that notification bell. This show seems to be picking up some steam, and I love that. I promise I am working on rants with some deeper behind-the-scenes stuff. Those just, well, they take a little longer. I have pulled the trigger on one that I'm hopeful and excited for, so we'll see how that goes. Until next time, take care of yourselves.